if I understood correctly, there are currently two problems in the kingdom that need solving, right?
Exactly. We need to defeat the monsters outside the city and take down the evil sorcerer stirring up trouble from within.
But which problem should we tackle first?
Well, this seems like a good moment for a break. Take some time and discuss what you want to do. Let me know when you've made your decision.
I really didn't expect the people in the city to keep us at arm's length like that. I totally thought the hunters would be treated like heroes.
Well, Clorinde said the script took cues from the real history of Fontaine, right? Maybe the real-life Marachose hunters were also treated like that.
I wouldn't say it's a perfect representation of history, but there are definitely some similarities. Would you like to hear more about it?
Sure. As long as it doesn't spoil anything in the script. You brought up bits and pieces of the hunter's history before, but it was all in passing.
Paimon wants to know too! The hunters were super powerful, right? Were they all from a special line of supernatural beings or something? Kind of like the yokai in Inazuma?
No. All Marachose hunters were ordinary mortal fighters. The only thing that set them apart were the special sword techniques passed down over the centuries.
Huh? So you mean anyone could become a Marachose hunter?
In theory, yes. All you would need to do is survive the rigorous training and master the swordsmanship techniques required to fight the monsters. Still, most people dropped out at the early stages, and others called it quits the minute they saw a monster in person. To become a hunter, you must be strong in both body and mind.
What kind of monsters did the hunters fight exactly? Oh, and the evil sorcerer the script mentions. Did they exist in real life too?
The land of Fontaine once played host to an ancient dynasty known as Remuria. After that dynasty fell, monsters began to appear, intent on obstructing humans from establishing a new social order. One of the ancient sorcerers of Remuria used his power to assemble a formidable army of golems. He sought to use that force to establish himself as king.
Now wait a second. Don't tell me that guy was the inspiration for the evil sorcerer in the script. We still haven't found any in-game information on him yet. So, why don't you talk about someone else for now?
Well, I wasn't planning on going into anything you might be able to find out in the game. But if you want me to talk about something else, then... How about Casiodor, the Golden Hunter? Or Egeria, the ex-Hydro Archon?
Wait, but those people are all from a super long time ago. Where did you learn all this, Clorinde?
From my master.
By master, you mean Miss Petronia?
Someone you know?
Absolutely. Miss Petronia and my father were good friends. Back in the day, she would often bring Clorinde over to play, but then...
Let's not get off topic. Anyway, back to what I was saying. Responding to Egeria's call, a number of warriors followed Casiodor into battle against the monsters. This group of warriors, under Casiodor's leadership, became known as the Marachose Hunters. Yet, as Fontaine entered an era of peace, their work gradually became obsolete. The Marachose Phantom, originally an association made up of hunters, eventually came to be predominantly comprised of Melusines.
Ah, I see. That explains why most of the people in the script have forgotten the hunters or think of them as nothing more than a legend.
Is that really a bad thing, though? It can get tough always being the one shouldering everyone's expectations.
Depends on who you ask, I suppose. If the name of the organization no longer commands respect, investigative work is bound to suffer.
Speaking of investigations, which problem should we tackle first? Monsters or evil sorcerer?
I vote monsters. That's the main duty of the hunters, right? We can come back to the sorcerer later.
Well said, Miss Farina. Plus, if the sorcerers really are the masterminds behind this whole thing, defeating the monsters could give us some clues on their intentions as well.
What about you, partner? What do you think? It's decided then.
All right. After some discussion, You decide to turn around and head out of the city.
Let's take a look around, like that guy said.
You there! Outsiders, halt!
Who's there?
An armored man approaches you. He has a tall, muscular build and a determined expression in his eyes. Just one look, and you can tell he's fought in his fair share of battles. Although he's trying his best to conceal his current state, his uneven gait and the sweat dripping down his forehead make it obvious that he's been wounded and is in serious pain. I'm the captain of the guard. I saw you sneaking around the city earlier, so I'll only ask this once. State your purpose, or it's off to the dungeons for the lot of you.
Wow, it's been a while since someone's been this suspicious of us.
I said talk, not whisper between yourselves.
Have you ever heard of the Marchese Hunters?
Marachose hunters? Ha! That fairy tale, you mean? What, you expect me to believe you're one of them? Using your knowledge of medicine, you're able to deduce that the injury on his calf was a monster's doing, and the wound has already begun to fester. As you check him over, he looks at you with suspicion and retracts his injured leg further back.
I'm a doctor by trade. Please let me redress your wound. You don't have to suffer like this.
The man appears somewhat disgruntled at having been exposed, but soon relents and raises his leg for you to take a better look. He allows you to apply a poultice of specialized medicine to the wound, and it appears to bring him much relief. The tension in his brow eases. Oh, right. Guess you lot might actually be real Marachose hunters after all. In any case, you've successfully treated my wound. So, what do you want to know?
Do you know where we can find the monsters, or the other guards who are fighting them?
He informs you of the various locations where monsters have appeared. He looks in that general direction with a pained gaze, as if a thin, invisible thread is pulling on his wound. Some of our new recruits have never even dealt with a petty thief, and now they're out there fighting monsters. If it weren't for this cursed leg.
Oh, please, sir. Don't get too worked up. You need to focus on your recovery. Just leave the monsters to us. We're Marachose hunters, after all.
Hearing you say that, a glimmer of hope flashes in his eyes. But it disappears almost as quickly as it came. Those monsters aren't easy to deal with. But if you insist on going, I won't stop you either. I just hope all the guards will be able to come back to their families alive. I wish you the best of luck.
Based on what the captain said, the monsters should be right up ahead. Let's go. Hopefully we're not too late.
As you approach the battlefield, you see numerous people lying by the side of the road. They appear to be dressed like guards. Their faces are filled with desperation and terror. Some are screaming and cursing in vain, as if still trying to banish the monstrosities they saw from their minds. A few of the wounded look up at you in shock and disbelief. Quick, leave this place. Turn around and don't look back, they yell. It doesn't seem like there's any information to be gained from the area up ahead. You conclude that this area is best left unexplored at this time.
this is the place he mentioned, right?
You see broken iron swords scattered all around you, and downed trees riddled with terrifying claw marks. All the signs point to one thing. A truly devastating battle just took place here.
Be on your guard, everyone. The monsters might still be around.
Before you can finish your sentence, you hear rustling sounds from the surrounding bushes. The monsters have emerged. They close in on you without fear. You get the impression that, in their bloodthirsty eyes, you're just another meal for them to devour.
A little help here! This thing wants to eat Paimon!
Your battle round begins now.
Time to shine! Yoo-hoo! Spring force! Ha! Fire!
With feeling lucky?
The next battle round begins now.
And voila!
This one's got your name on it!
The monsters let out a terrifying roar of anger and resentment before dissipating into thin air.
Ugh, thank goodness it's over.
We're lucky the Marashose Hunter class came with all those preset skill points. Otherwise, we would have been in some real trouble.
I never knew the Fatometer even determines the amount of damage you inflict. If you get unlucky, isn't it just game over right then and there?
That's part of the fun. The uncertainty of fate is what gives these games their appeal.
Just as you begin to celebrate your victory, a suspicious lump on the ground catches your attention.
A suspicious lump. Wait, could it be the thing that appears after every battle?
I walk up to it, crouch down, and begin to carefully examine it. I've still got my right glove on, so it should be fine for me to touch it, right?
As you investigate the mound, you discover that the exposed portion appears to be made of wood. It was previously obscured by the large form of the monsters. With the monsters gone, the small protrusion now awaits your discovery, poking out of the ground like a shy flower bud.
Whoa, it's a treasure chest!
With everyone's help, you successfully excavate the wooden chest from the ground. Even without opening it, you can tell from the mora and jewels scattered around the chest that it must contain quite the fortune.
Makes sense. We worked hard for this. Let's open it and we can share what's inside.
I can understand your excitement, Paimon, but think about it. Doesn't it seem like there are people out there who need this treasure more than us?
Yeah. Think about all the people suffering in the capital, or all those guards who got hurt fighting the monsters. Wouldn't it be better if we gave the treasure to them?
Wait, is that how it works? Paimon thought since we were the ones to dig it up, we could just take it for ourselves.
Well, let's put it this way. Any decision you make during a role-playing game can impact the future course of the story.
But would the people really believe us? It's hard enough for us to prove we're Marashose hunters. What if they think we procured the treasure illegally? They might get even more suspicious of us.
That's definitely something we should consider. Maybe we can come up with an explanation in advance.
Well, if donating it could cause that much trouble, why don't we use it to buy some gear and fill up on good food? Then we'll be ready to fight even more bad guys.
Looks like you're facing a difficult choice once again. Well, it's getting late. Why don't we call it a day for now?
Wow, where did the time go?
I'm not sure if it's because I'm having so much fun with you all or because the story is particularly enticing, but I feel like I could almost keep going.
Here, here. Ooh, how about we play through the night?
I'm not sure I'll have enough energy for that.
Yeah, that won't work for me either. Lynette will give me an earful if I get home too late.
I understand how you feel, Navia, but we have to change venues for the next part of the story anyway.
Huh? Another location?
There's a special note for the GM at the end of this section that says to proceed to an indoor set for the next part of the script.
Whoa, they really pulled out all the stops for this new script.
Well, even if we end the game for the day, we can still stay a little longer and hear Clorinde finish her story, right?
Something tells me you just want to finish the free desserts before we break for the day.
That's just a coincidence, okay? Besides, the Paimon not finishing free food feels even worse than having to buy her own. And anyway, Paimon really does want to hear more about Clorinde's master.
Well,
It's nothing. I appreciate the concern, but it's all in the past. It won't do any harm to share these things now. My earliest memories are of living with Master. According to her, she saved me from certain people of ill repute. My birth parents had left me behind some time before that.
What a heavy beginning for a life story.
Master was a fascinating individual, if inexperienced in the ways of raising children. My first ever toy was a short sword. Although I suppose it wasn't so much a toy as something Master removed from her waist and handed to a noisy child in need of distraction.
Oh wait, so she handed an actual sword to a child? Isn't that dangerous? Did you hurt yourself?
Of course I did. I cut my palm and bled quite a lot. But Master was not concerned. She just stood there and casually lectured me about it. See, that's what you get for not holding the sword properly, she told me. She then crouched down next to me and said, "Give me your hand. I'll teach you to bandage this wound. After that, it's time to learn how to truly hold a blade."
Excuse me for asking this, Clorinde, but how old were you exactly when all this happened?
Probably around, 3, give or take.
3? Isn't that when most kids are still struggling to hold a fork?
As I said, Master was rather inexperienced in the ways of raising children. She believed trial and error was the best way to teach a child what they're capable of.
I'm not so sure this is a question of experience.
I didn't see anything wrong with her ways at the time. And anyway, children don't get to choose how they're raised. Oh, she did bring me back a pet from Liyue once. It was a Geovishap hatchling.
A Geovishap hatchling? For a pet? That seems even more dangerous!
What she said was this: make sure to get along, you two. If you really can't agree on something, just settle it with a fight. Whoever loses is the real pet.
And how old were you when this happened?
5.
Well, did you win?
No, I lost.
So, you're saying you actually became the Geovishap's pet?
Yes, but only for a week. By the end of that week, I defeated it in combat, and we've shared a cordial relationship ever since.
That really doesn't sound like the kind of childhood someone should have.
Later on, I gradually understood that Master most likely didn't know any other way to raise a child. She was a marechaussee hunter, but I never heard her bring up her own parents. Thanks to her, I learned how to navigate the forest by the age of 6, and could hunt monsters in the wild by myself the year after that. Even though the training she subjected me to was strict, she always made sure to take me traveling when she had the time. We met many of her friends during those days. That was also how I met Mr. Callis and his family.
I still remember the first time we met. You were too scared to join our picnic and hid behind Ms. Petronia the whole time.
I still hadn't really met many children my age at that time, so I didn't know how to interact with others.
After that, though, you started coming over a lot. You loved challenging people to shooting competitions, remember? I don't think many members of the Spina ever beat you in one of those.
I had a lot of fun during those days.
I enjoyed them too. Oh, do you remember that one time we went exploring around the Spina together? We overheard Papa call your master Fontaine's Protector of Justice. We tried to pretend like we never heard anything, but you nearly let it slip that one time.
Protector of Justice. Oh, wait, you mean that vigilante hero from 20 years ago? The one who was always active at night?
Yep, that would be her. She often would put on a black cloak and go out at night. I never knew where she went or what she was doing. Until, like Navia said, we overheard the truth from Mr. Callis that night.
20 years ago, huh? I still remember the guards leaving all kinds of witness reports about her on Nervalette's desk.
My apologies.
Oh, there's no need to apologize. You had nothing to do with it. And anyway, everything she did was for a good cause. Although, calling herself the Protector of Order was a bit much. Especially when she deliberately operated outside the law.
Huh? When did the Protector of Justice become the Protector of Order?
Oh, she had a bunch of code names. I heard she would just come up with a name on the spot whenever she was asked. Later on, she probably got sick of answering those questions and decided to stick to just two. The Protector of Justice and the Protector of Order.
That sounds like her, all right. I bet she forgot which of the two she'd use by the time she got back each night.
Well, she certainly sounds like a fascinating individual. With her strong sense of justice, it's no surprise her student followed in her footsteps.
It's true. I always wanted to become like her. Someone powerful, independent, and with a strong sense of conviction. But... She suddenly disappeared the night I turned 10 years old.
Disappeared? What happened?
I have no idea. She didn't even leave a note. I was never able to find out where she went. That night, I was celebrating my birthday at Navia's house. But Master never came to pick me up. When I returned home on my own, it was to an empty house. When she still didn't appear after a few days, I went to Mr. Callis's house to ask about her whereabouts. But he only shook his head.
Papa probably didn't know either. I know he sent a few people to investigate the matter in secret, but they never found any credible leads.
Don't worry, I understand. To be perfectly honest, given Master's personality and way of doing things, it all made a lot of sense. If I had to guess, I'd say she probably used it as an opportunity to force me to become independent. Just like how, when a litter of kittens reaches a certain age, the mother willingly leaves them behind.
Were you upset, Clorinde?
I was at first, but not anymore. I don't believe Master would suddenly disappear for no reason. There must have been something she just had to do.
Well, despite everything, you still managed to follow in her footsteps and become the greatest champion duelist in all of Fontaine. You're practically a living symbol of law and justice.
I suspect my position would be far too by the books for her. Master always did whatever she pleased. But you're right. I suppose I do take after her in some ways.
Who knew Clorinde had such an interesting past? I never had the chance to ask her about it before. And I wonder... if Clorinde's master were the champion duelist back then, would that duel against Mr. Callis have gone differently? Oh no. Judging by the atmosphere, Clorinde and Navia are probably thinking something similar. The mood just got super awkward all of a sudden.
Well, anyway... would you look at the time? It's getting dark, so we should probably call it a day for real this time. If we keep talking like this, we really will be here all night.
I had a great time today, Miss Clorinde. Thank you for being our GM.
Anytime.
The script was good, but I've got to say, your childhood stories were even better. Hey, you should tell us more about that fight against the Geo-Bishop sometime. Maybe your master was onto something.
You could be right.
What does she mean, onto something? I certainly don't know any 5-year-olds who want to fight a bishop in their spare time. Guess I'll head back as well. I need to save my energy if I want to continue enjoying the story tomorrow.
You're that excited to hear about my fight with the bishop?
I was talking about the script